DroneTalks is an online platform to spread ideas and to educate in the drone ecosystem. At DroneTalks, we discuss technology, regulatory, business and ecosystem topics openly with industry leaders to enable and foster innovation for a better future.
Hi everyone, I'm Esther Kovac, a founder and CEO of DroneTalks, and today I talk with Paul Riemens, CEO and founder of Amsterdam Drone Weeks. Hi Paul.
Good morning.
Nice to see you, and thanks for joining. So my first question is that, I attended at the Amsterdam Drone Weeks now, I think 2 times, and I was always very impressed by the people and the content of the conference. And I really love the networking part, and I find it really intimate, small event where I could really have a chance to talk to people. So I was always wondering, what was the trigger to start the Amsterdam Drone Week? What did you see to kickstart an initiative as this?
If you look to my background, I have worked in aviation for about 32 years. I started as an ab initio air traffic controller at Schiphol Airport near Amsterdam. In 32 years, I've been an IT engineer, I've been air traffic controller, I've been manager on all kinds of departments. I worked in Europe on let's say, the dynamics and the politics around air traffic management. I finally became the CEO, and after that, even the president of CANSO, the overarching association for air traffic management around the world. And after 32 years, I suddenly concluded that I wanted to do something totally different. And I became the CEO of RAI Amsterdam, which is a big venue. And I, of course, had a global network in aviation. And some of my friends said, listen, Paul, if you're going to leave the industry, we might not see each other again on a regular basis. So what can we do to see each other again? And in that long discussion, we said, listen, if we see each other and the only possibility to connect is to look to the past, this is of no added value. So we said, listen, what can we do to organize certain things that are adding value to a certain industry and gives us the opportunity to see each other again? So let's say that bigger network, we had a sitting together. The first time was in Rome. I was there with the CEO of ENAV of Italy and some other people from the industry. And we concluded that if we look to the foreseeable future, that there's a lot of room for bringing people together to build an infrastructure and to develop the drone industry. So the first event was bringing the people together. We tried to find high-level ranked people to make them responsible for that event. And we said, listen, quality of the people and adding value is key. So it's better to have a small event that is really connecting the people and matchmaking people, and that we build value. Instead of having a huge show and that people feel that there is no real, I would say, nucleus for developing the industry as a whole towards the future. Now, this is, I think, the combination of content and adding value and a network of people that really respect each other and see a bigger mission towards the future.
Sounds really great, and I love this entrepreneur spirit, especially because you mentioned you spend 20 years and 25 years at the governmental bodies. So following that, step out and set up a new business focusing on drones. That's for me always very interesting. So I was just wondering, what do you see, how the business developed from the first edition of the event until now? What's changed? Because we always talk about the rapid development of drone industry and what's really changed in 2-3 years in your view?
After we started that first edition, we also concluded that it was necessary to have a global vision, but also connected on a local basis. So it was important that we also had our network around Amsterdam, and to really learn how the different industries in this region is developing. And what I found out in that work was that you had all kinds of startup companies and scale-up companies trying to find solid ground under their feet to develop the usage of drones. And what I saw is that lots of companies had no ideas what the potential of a drone is in their industry. So I started discussing with local companies and tried to build a network of people to say, listen, let me take an example. If you see the harbor of Amsterdam, you see many inspections in that harbor. And this is done just by cars or by boats with people, sometimes making movies, sometimes do a visual inspection. But this is hard labor and takes a lot of energy and money. So I try to convince people in certain companies in the harbor that usage of drones might be of a big step forward in having a more efficient process of inspecting their operations and assets. Now, but as soon as certain companies, drone companies and producers of drones came into such a company, you immediately saw that air traffic management was playing a role there and just blocked all kinds of initiatives. So I use my personal network also with the local authorities, but also the national and European authorities to bring them on board and to see what we can do. Now, if you look to EASA, for instance, which is responsible for bringing a European infrastructure where the nations follow, Patrick Lee was a good friend of mine. He said, listen, we have a common mission here, because I will try to build a platform where people are invited to build that infrastructure. So this is really what the trend is. So I think the first trend, what we saw is that to convince individual companies and industries that drones play a vital role towards the future in their existence. And secondly, we need to build an infrastructure that is giving room for this kind of initiatives.
Sounds really good. And you know, DroneTalks aiming to drive for social acceptance the whole drone industry. And I was just wondering, what do you think? How can we do it? How cities, people, communities can see the benefit of drones? Because for us as an industry, that's clear. But how can we get to that point? We reach out to a broader audience, because I do believe that's need to happen for scaling. So what do you think? What's your upcoming forecast on that side?
If let's say my background with air traffic management normally has a national perspective, and because normally drone operations is I would say initially, because I cannot foresee the future that drones will be used on higher flight levels, but initially the usage of drones are close to the ground. And what you see is that especially in urban environments, the usage of drones can be very beneficial. However, cities are not really equipped on managing airspace, because normally this kind of airspace is managed by an air traffic management organization. However, drones are quite close to society, so you see some sort of an interbellum where the city plays a very important role in the acceptance of society. So what we saw is that you cannot simply build an infrastructure have a regulation into place, and that the society will simply accept the usage of drones. Because if the airspace in urban environment is saturated with drones, I can tell you with my experience around airports that sooner or later there will be a major setback, and that society will not accept the usage of drone on a very big scale, because the noise, the visual aspect to it, safety plays an important role. So what we said for the next coming years, what kind of function is necessary for society, and what kind of function will be accepted and of true added value to our day-to-day life. Now, this is, I think, an important question, and I think the city itself should play a steering role in I think in this development. So I'm very glad that EASA and many other aviation-related and drone-related companies work together in I would say attracting mayors and their people that are, let's say, responsible for policies on aviation and the usage of drones, are going to work together under a manifest and to develop that infrastructure by all kind of experiments on a small scale, to see how we can integrate the usage of drones in a way that it's safe, that it's accepted by society, that society sees, understands, and accepts the role of a drone that really adds quality to our lives.
Exciting times, Paul. That sounds really, fascinating. So my last question is that, your event, Amsterdam Drone Week, is just around the corner, and I got invited as well, and I saw that it's a hybrid event in 2020. So could you please share some highlights of the Amsterdam Drone Week Hybrid 2020?
What we do, it's all about people and the network, and we need people on every level. And for us, it's important that, let's say, the responsible ministers, transport commissioners, CEOs of whatever company taste and feel the responsibility they have for developing this new world. For us, it's very important that we have these people on board. And from that point of view, from that perspective, I'm very glad that the Minister of Infrastructure or the Transport Minister make themselves available for the Amsterdam Drone Week. And I'm very glad from that perspective that these people are available. Patrick Key will start a discussion. Simon Hokert of Kanzo will have a discussion together with the responsible people that are responsible for these policies, and actually make themselves available for finding solutions. And of course, the mayors, like I answered in the last question, play an important role. So I'm very glad that a lot of European mayors will be present and will show their policies and projects in their domain, in their city. That is, I think, some sort of an environment where they exchange lessons learned and how they deal with difficulties, problems, solutions. So it's really a platform where people actually meet each other and add value. And I think, from my point of view, the associations, but also people like you and your network are important just to express the ideas, the connections, the people. So I think these are very important highlights. And the Amsterdam Drone Week originally had and has the vision that this is a global thing, not a local thing. And so we need to think global and act local. So the taste and atmosphere of the Amsterdam Drone Week is that we bring the global perspective together with the local perspective. And so from that perspective, I'm very glad that we have a discussion between Singapore and CAS, the authority in Singapore, and EASA on how to deal on a global scale development of the usage of drones in our industry.
Sounds great. Thanks, Paul, for the interview.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation and good luck.